Kristin with the Rogers Public Library, and this week for Quilled Creations we are going to be making a little house. So in your packet you will have a strip of brown, a strip of black, a half strip of yellow, and a fourth strip of gray. And I will show you how to make it. To begin, we're going to take our big brown strip and we're going to roll it up into one large ball. I am actually going to show you this week how to use a toothpick if you do not have a quilling tool. So you'll take your toothpick and just line it up close to the edge of your paper and then just fold it over and then kind of hold the edge in place and begin rolling. And then once you roll it up just a little bit, you can actually remove the toothpick and just continue rolling it by hand. It won't be quite as tight as with a quilling tool. You'll have a little hole in this, a little bit more of a hole in the center, but that is okay. So then you just roll it all the way up just like you would normally. Once you have it all rolled up, you can just let it go. Now we want this to actually be fairly big, so probably going to want to make it a little larger. So to do that, what I call fluffing it up, we are going to hold on to the center and then just kind of act like we're gonna unroll it, but don't actually unroll the whole thing, just kind of unroll a little bit so that our circles get larger. Once it is probably about 1.5 inches, that should be a good size, then we will seal it up and we are going to shape this into a square or a rectangle to be the base of our house. So to pinch it into a square or a rectangle, you can start by kind of pinching it like you're going to make an eye shape, and then put those points in going up and down in between your two hands, and then pinch it the other direction like you're making an eye shape, and that will give you approximately a square. And then mine is a little wonky, so I'm going to just shift my point there by kind of flattening that back out and then squeezing it down a little bit more to the side. And that way you can reshape it. It's still a little wonky, but that's all right. It's pretty close. So we will set that piece aside. Then we're going to take our half strip of yellow and cut it in half. And then we are going to make each of these into little squares or rectangles to be like lighted up windows in our house. So we want these to stay pretty small because we are going to fit both of them inside of this brown piece. So once it's rolled up, you can let it go, but we do want it to stay pretty small. So then we'll seal it up. And then pinch that into a little square or rectangle. And we'll set that aside and make a second one. All right, once we have two little windows, we can grab our page, our background, and we are going to fit these two little windows into our brown square so that they can be like lighted windows in the house. So you want to find a spot somewhere in between one of your curls here that you can fit that inside. Then somewhere on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. And your window's probably going to move around a little bit. That's okay. You just want it to stay in there. So I'm going to kind of hold that to the side while I find a space to put my other window in. And then you'll have to see when you let it go, it might tilt like this to the side, so then you just have to push them up or down. Just kind of wiggle it around a little until you have your windows aligned how you want them to be aligned. Yeah. So I think that looks good, so I'm going to leave it like that. Then I'm going to go ahead and glue it on to my background. And I can see I need a little more on the outside, so there we go. And then even still, if it shifts, you can use your quilling tool or toothpick or just your fingers to shift around your windows until you get them just where you want them. And we'll set that aside for a moment. And we're going to take our black. Now we need 1/4 of this to be one piece. So if you kind of fold it in half, you don't actually pinch it, but just generally about half, and then fold it back again. That will give you about 1/4. So then we'll make the cut there, so we have about 1/4. We'll set that aside for the moment. Now we're going to take this piece, and if you would like to just let this center little circle on your house be the door, you can do that and skip this step. But if you want to add your own little door, then we will take our longer piece of black, see how much you want to use for your door, and then cut off just that little strip. Then we can put some glue on it and add it lying flat onto our little house, and that makes a little door. We can set that aside again. I'm going to take our still longer piece of black and roll this up into a big ball. Once that's rolled up, we can let it go. Fluff it up a little bit, probably. You might not need to, but you may. And this is going to be the roof of our house. So, grab your house again. Kind of see how big you need your roof to be across the bottom. Make sure your circle is big enough that it will fit on there. Then we can seal it up and pinch it into a triangle shape. Now, how you want your roof to look is of course up to you. You can make it very fat and large and pointy, or you can make it smaller and thinner. But again, you just want to kind of see how far you need to go here on the side, so that when you pinch it, it will cover the whole house. Then you just pinch it into a triangle, or if you want a rounded roof, you can have a rounded roof, or if you want a square roof, you can have a square roof. However you want your roof to look. But once you have it how you want it, then we can add that on to the top of our house on our background. Now we'll take our last piece of black and roll that up into a small ball, and this we are going to make into our chimney. So then once that's rolled up, you can let it go, and then unless you just want it to be bigger, then you can go ahead and seal it up. If you want it to be a little bigger, you can fluff it up a little bit and then seal it. And then once it's sealed, you can pinch it into a square or a rectangle, however you want your chimney to look. And then just pick a spot to put it on the side of your roof. And then we have a little house with a door and a roof and a chimney and some windows. And our last step is to make some smoke to come out of the chimney. So if you joined us last week and made the snowman, we're going to make the same exact shape that we did for the snowman scarf. So we'll fold our gray in half. Now we're not going to cut it, we're just going to use this V shape and then use our quilling tool or toothpick or fingers, however we're doing this, to roll on the side. And you can do this on either side, just whichever way you want your smoke to go. And you can go as far down towards that V as you want, or you can leave it up higher, either way, but we're going to roll both sides down in the same direction. So that we have little curls of smoke. And you can make them the same size. You can make them one much larger than the other. You can unroll it a little and then shape it. You can keep it close together, or you can open up your V to make the smoke curls further apart. It's however you want your smoke to look. And then we just put that point of our V right on our chimney so it looks like the smoke is coming out of the chimney. And we'll just add that, glue that onto our picture. And then we are done with our little house. And then we just wait for it to dry. And then we have a cute little house with lit up windows and smoke coming from the chimney. Thank you so much for joining me for Quilled Creations this week. I hope you had fun making our little house. I'd love to see completed pictures of your houses in the comments if you'd like to share them. Next week we will be making a cardinal to add to our little scene. So make sure and join us next week again for Quilled Creations. Bye!